And one.
You know
and
what's
we're in.
Thumb
and
Pal
the lights are
enthusiast?
on.
Evening all. You are the all. Welcome in, sarcastic grandpa.
I'm cleaning my brush.
You're cleaning your brush.
I was cleaning my brush.
We have to come up with a system for the desk for your expert acrylics, Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
How would you?
So they're not just laying all over the place. That'd be good.
It's not as easy to do with the expert acrylics as it is our normal pots, right?
No, they don't fit in those.
Our
things.
normal bottles.
They don't fit in those things.
So when you put them all in front of you like you normally do, it doesn't work.
Right. Correct. It's a little.
Have I made myself clear?
It's a little daunting, right?
No, Jason.
What?
It's a little dauntless.
Oh, I
Get
see
it?
what you did there, Christopher.
Thank you.
See what you did there.
And welcome in, everybody.
This
Beautiful
is the guy that leads our
segue.
marketing team.
It is Wednesday, 2025, May? It's May 14th. It is a beautiful day here in Arizona.
Oh, wait. There's a thing about that. May the 14th
May the
be with you. I read this somewhere. The kids are into that these days. It's May the 14th be with you.
I have wanted
I think it's a Star Wars thing or Star Trek. It's Star Trek
No,
thing.
it's 4th.
It's a Star Trek thing.
May the 4th be with you.
This is a Star Trek one.
The 14th is Star Trek?
Yeah.
I've wanted to make every day since May the 4th be with you something in those lines.
Yeah, but you missed May the 9th.
No.
May thy 9th chip and shatter.
No.
Like, how do you even miss that?
No,
That's
I said-
low-hanging dune fruit, baby.
No, I said May the 9th before Christmas.
It's so bad. It May thy 9th break, chip and shatter. It was there, right in front of your face, Christopher.
It was May 9th before Christmas.
That's
Source. Lovely. I'm sat here playing games, haven't forgotten I had the stream open in a tab. All of a sudden, I got Jason's soothing voice caressing my ear holes.
Ear holes.
Welcome in, everybody.
What I
April
do.
5th is for...
I'm all about
What?
caressing your ear holes.
It's all over, Chris. Does Jason have the high ground? Yes. And actually, he does.
Technically, yes.
He does.
He's down there.
What's up, Cannibal?
He's down
B-Town, Paint Liquor, Sugar Rush.
Down in front.
There is something in the air, chat. It's all over for me.
Something in the air.
Wow. Hey, guess what? Here's your palette cam. Ear holes. Yes, B-Town. Ear holes is such a funny word when you say it out loud.
What is?
Ear holes. It's
Well,
like,
it's
I
two
just heard
words.
my ear holes.
It's 2 words,
But in
Christopher.
our world, is it one word?
No, it's 2 words. It's still adjective, noun.
I didn't sound
Ear.
confident, huh?
Holes.
Ear holes.
Yes.
I loaded the stream and just heard ear holes. Yes, B-Town. You heard me repeating.
You're in the right place.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the right place, today we're picking up again with our Dauntless brushes with our expert acrylics.
Are we, though?
I think so. Yesterday you were just making that armor look real nice, and then all of a sudden I had to cancel the stream because it was 4 p.m.
Enemy of fun. I was on a roll.
Am
and
I
Christopher said,
am I the enemy of fun, or do I keep the ship afloat with timing and keep everybody energized?
Same thing. Technically, same thing, I think. I don't know how you can be one without the other. Because this ship gets derailed, de-watered.
Dewatered? I love that. This ship is dewatered.
This ship is de-watered. This ship is dry docked, chat.
Oh my gosh, we are dewatered up in here. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious, actually.
Been de-watered.
So to remind the viewers, what are you picking up with today?
I'm not doing that anymore.
What do you mean? It's really good for me.
You know, and that's the problem with this whole thing.
Oh my gosh,
Is
here
that
we
it's
go.
only what's good for you, and nobody ever thinks about me.
No.
Like, what exactly is good for me?
Jason.
Huh?
Jason.
What is good for me?
This is good for you.
Oh, my God.
You tell the people, we the people, what you're painting, which is white and gray.
Right now it's just white. But white's too bright, so I got to make gray. I made gray yesterday, and that's what I started
on
with.
the top of the breastplates there.
Yeah.
Jason, what's the matter with you?
But I'd really like to use just white so I don't have to mix it.
Then do it. Hey, put paint on the model, man.
But I think what I'm going to do is switch over to bright neutral gray. Because generally what we're going to be doing anyway, like I'm teaching people how to use these paints.
Heck yeah.
Is the whole idea.
That's all right. You do you.
And the reality when doing painting with tube paints is when you get down to fine details, I typically switch back over to bottled Procryl. Because with the mixing to do fine line stuff, you wind up wasting a lot of paint. Let's just be honest. Where did my glass palette go? Are you cleaning it somewhere behind the scenes?
Oh, no, it's down there. I didn't know if you were going to use it or not. Plus, I wanted to tape that down.
Did you steal my glass palette?
It's right below you.
You stole my glass palette?
Do you want me to clean that for you?
Yes, you've asked me that about 1,000,000 times, hasn't he, chat? And does he ever do it? No. The answer is no. He does not clean my palette,
Jason.
but he asks a lot.
Jason, do you really want me to?
Yeah.
Or is there something inside of you that likes the...
There is nothing inside or anywhere
chaos.
near me that likes the dirty palette.
What? If you had a choice to have it cleaned every day, you would want that, is what you're telling me.
100%.
What? Orc Pride? Where's my little... There we go. 99 months. Orc Pride. Holy cow.
A lot of months.
Okay. Let me back this up because this is a little revelation for me. Jason, your glass palette, you would like it cleaned
daily.
Daily?
Daily.
Okay. I will make a process for you. No, not for you. A process for us. We.
I'm like, so you know why it doesn't get cleaned daily, right?
Okay. Jason, I thought you were somebody who was like, oh, I like having all this paint on my palette.
Not at all.
Jason.
What is that paint good for?
What? It's not good for anything
Exactly.
but Art Deco.
Huh?
It's Art Deco. Art Deca? Deca?
That
Duco?
definitely sounds like me, doesn't it? I'm all about Art Deco, aren't I, Chris?
I don't know.
You've been hanging out with me long enough to know that is not the case.
Wait a minute. You're not Art Deco?
No, my name is Jason.
Okay. You only get one of those. No, I'm Jason, Chris. Okay. All right, because we have 2 glass palettes, I can cycle them.
Correct. You can.
Chat, I actually made a revelation today. I thought it was kind of like
I made the revelation.
A stamp
you observed. You had a revelation based on me talking.
I thought it was like a stamp of honor that you liked.
No, it's a stamp of laziness.
A stamp of laziness?
Yeah, I just don't clean my palette. That's all it is.
That's why I'm like...
It's not because I want it dirty. Do you want your room dirty when you don't clean it? Do you want your clothes dirty when you don't do laundry? No, you just are lazy.
Jason.
What? Am I being too truthful?
I've been keeping mine dirty for years because you kept yours dirty.
Oh, well.
I thought there was something in the magic sauce.
Maybe you shouldn't meet your heroes, Christopher.
Wow. My whole reality is being shattered today. Well, everybody, I'm kind of a loss for words here.
What? That's all it took?
I guess so.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
You're saying that's all I gotta do?
Jason, Thumb Palette says, Jason consistently says he's a lazy painter, and Chris is surprised by Jason being a lazy painter. No, that doesn't make him lazy. The palette doesn't make Jason lazy. It's the act of cleaning it.
It's a laziness thing.
No, I don't think you did. Is that what you're saying? You're admitting it's laziness.
I don't think I'm a lazy painter. I guess I am. I say that a lot, right?
You do.
Because I am lazy in terms of like I don't want to have to work harder than is necessary to achieve anything, right? I want to work smarter, not harder.
Okay. So, realistically, if I was to clean your palette,
no, you don't. You don't get anything extra.
No,
you don't get a gold star.
I don't need this. You know what? Okay, he has spoken. You heard it here, chap.
It won't happen because he's asked me this question like a dozen times.
No, I have, but I also was like, maybe there's a part of Jason that he actually is like, no, I actually kind of like it with all this paint on here.
Christopher, does that sound like me?
Kind of.
Oh my God, dude, this man doesn't pay any attention to me at all.
But you use your palette all the time, your palette paper, and you reuse it
because that's how lazy I am. Is that I literally sit here and use palette paper instead of the palette.
I am just
Super
Bleeder. 13 months. Thank you so much for that. If you're all just, it is all over this stream. It's all over for you, Chris. There it goes. Wow. I'm just, you guys, this is big.
Is it though?
It really is not. This is good. I'll clean it for you. B-Town says, do you have a good recipe for black hair?
Yeah. For hair and feathers and natural surfaces like that, I tend to like a blue or purple. Black, you can obviously do just grays to black, right? So you could do a black base and dark neutral gray, and then maybe a little bit of warm gray over the top, and then something like black transparent over the top of all of that to pull it back down to gray or black. That's an easy way to do it, right? So black to dark grays of any liking that you have, and then top it all off with a glaze or filter again of black, either through a black wash or transparent black glaze, anything like that. Nice. To pull it back down to black. So you've seen us do that quite a bit. This guy was done that way.
Yeah.
So you can use, this one was started with Payne's gray and then into grays and then a black wash over the top that makes it look dirty and black, but still has enough of a little bit of a bluish hue to it. So
nice.
That works well. But you can also do things where you have way more blue in it. This guy has more. This is transparent blue and transparent black added together for the highlight. And so it makes the black have a little bit more of a bluish tinge to it on the upper side, and I like that. All these are armor that I'm showing, but hair is same color philosophy.
Yeah. Cool.
Works good, and then you can just interchangeably use like purples.
Lumberjack Tim, Voltage, thank you so much for those subs.
Timbarooski.
32 months and 14 months. Thank you all. Dumbris has a question. I'm going to try non-metallic metal for the first time. Nice. Every tutorial I've seen shows the process from one side. What is the other side of the object like? Like a mace? ? So you're talking about the dark side, Dumbris?
Yeah, I got to understand what other side means.
If you're talking about the other side from where the light is, clarify that. But I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. That's what I'm assuming, I guess. Plus, if you go back and watch that black armor tutorial that Jason did, which is right here, this is an excellent one. For any, to be honest, I would say any color of armor, you just change up the colors a little bit, but it gives you a lot of good concepts in there.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's just black armor, for example, but you could apply whatever. Plus the non-metallic gold one has some.
But yeah, I mean, the reality is, what are you trying to do with the model? Are you trying to have one side in light and highly reflective, and the other side dark? You could do that.
Oh, yep.
And then you can kind of get lazy and not even paint the back side with anything other than the base color and maybe the first midtone.
Yeah, Dumbris says, yep, he's talking about the dark side.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, if you're keeping one side dark, then it really only gets paint for the base coat and maybe your midtone highlight, depending on how big the model is, how many colors you're planning on using. Works really well.
Yeah, but again, Dumbris, check that out, because he also shows some of that black armor where he does paint on the dark side of the model, and it's pretty good. Oaken, what up?
Yeah, because this model's the same way, right?
Yep.
Like here, you know, the darker side of this thing just gets less bright color, right?
Yeah.
And then if you look at this arm plate where my light source is on this side, and then as it goes over that midpoint, then I just have my base coat and my first mid-tone color. I didn't do any of the like pale blue on that, right? That's kind of the way that I'm doing this whole thing. Same with this arm plate here, light on the left, and then as we go around to the dark side, I just haven't added much of that color. Now I will come back in and reevaluate this as we go and add color where I want to, because it might not fall off that steep. Right? This is where we ended yesterday. So I haven't painted anything other than the base coat on this, so I need to brighten that up a little bit more. But I'm having fun painting the highlights right now. I'm having fun making it look a little shinier right now.
Do you ever... Well, Well, never mind.
What?
I take it all back.
No, what?
No, so... Let's say you have this model here, right? And you can definitely see where the light is
Chris,
coming from. What's
I
that?
do have this model.
I know. I got it. Okay. That's why I was trying to say, well, maybe I shouldn't really ask this question this way. You have this model here in your hand,
Yes, I do.
right?
Right here in my hand.
You're painting where the light's coming from.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever decided just to not paint the other side?
Oh, yeah.
And that's, a choice, essentially. You could do that with the dark side, I guess, to answer a little bit more of that question.
Yeah, depending on how dramatic you're trying to make it look and if you care. Does the model have like a money shot side like most busts do? There's an ongoing joke in the art community that we just don't paint the backside of busts. There's no use.
I was just about to say, for this example, like, obviously I'm going to look at this bust from a certain angle at all times, I would say.
Yep.
The cape is cool, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at the front.
Right. Unless you're inputting it for judging criteria or something, you could very easily just pick the side you're going to paint and get lazy and not paint much of the other at all. That's definitely a choice. Now, that is admittedly lazy, but if it gets you to the end game you're looking for, why not?
But Source says, but you will still know that the back side isn't painted. How will you sleep at night? Okay, this is kind of my point with all of this, right? What have I always talked about? If you're somebody who's painting something that doesn't necessarily, well, no, this is different, I would say. I talk about the people who paint the inside of their Rhino or their Land Cruiser. That's different than this.
It's a Land Raider. Land Cruiser's a Toyota vehicle.
No, it's a Land Cruiser.
Okay, thank you.
No free pub. It's a Land Cruiser. That's hilarious that I just said that. Anyway, if you're painting the inside of your models, please call me. Get help. There's a hotline. How will you sleep at night, says Source. I don't know. It's okay. Just don't look at it from the other side, Source. Just don't look at the back. That's on you at that point.
I mean, there's a world where that's the case, right? Is that as you're painting, if you don't paint the back, it's a decision that you've made. You can sleep with it because you made the decision, right?
Yeah. B-Town.
If you run out of time and you procrastinate and you don't paint the back, then you'll have a hard time sleeping.
That's
right?
different.
Because it was a forced decision at that point, not a choice you made necessarily.
Right.
Does that make sense?
There's a total difference.
So,
Just what you're saying, B-Town, got it. No cockpit painting. Yes, do not paint the inside of your cockpit unless it's a part of the story.
Wait a minute.
Right?
No.
The cockpit? If you can't see it?
One of the worst things in the world about airplanes is that the cockpit is that cheap, clear plastic that doesn't match the rest of the painting you've done. So you have to paint the cockpit.
Yes,
you can see it.
If you can see through it, 100%. But like your ghost keel up there?
Oh, yeah.
Unnecessary. But yes, if it's a clear thing, absolutely. Thumb Pal, you don't even need to prime the bits of people inside.
This is also true if you're taking Chris's line of action.
You don't need to do it. Just glue it shut. Be done with it for life.
If you go in with eyes wide shut, you don't even have to really do a whole lot because you can't. If I can't see it, I don't paint it. That's kind of the thing.
Oh my gosh. Eyes wide shut. Okay. Oh.
You leave it to the painter, right? The Dance Monkey Dance painter.
That's right.
You leave it to the painter to find the part of the model you missed and recognize it when painting. You know, like the upside down shoulder plate on Sanguinius that Chris put on wrong.
Oh,
when he built the model and put that on wrong and left it to me to figure out.
This is not factual truth. I did not touch that model. I don't touch anything up there. And now I have to touch your palette. I got to clean that palette. Punisher says, I've never painted the back of my models. Also, sometimes I don't paint the front of my models. Well, join the club.
For gaming, I've always joked that we should spend more time on the back of the model because that's the part we see, right?
Yeah.
As the owner of the model, you're always staring at the butt end of your models, right? It's your opponent that you're painting for if you paint the front, and I ain't about that. I ain't about that life. I paint the back of my models and don't paint the front. That way, when they're facing the enemy, you know, they're...
That seems like insanity, too. Why would you paint the front of your models? Because you'll never see them. Right. No, that's not true. You can go walk around the table.
Yeah, but why would I do that?
What do you mean? Like, what if you have to move a model? Their tables are big normally.
Oh, my God.
What do you... That's the facts. Big tables.
I can't hold conversations with people like you that you just want to argue for argument's sake.
You don't want to argue.
You just want to argue for argument's sake.
This is not true. Vector says, isn't the point of those cockpits and stuff that you can't see to be available for diorama builders that create wreckage? Yes, I guess that's true, Vector. If that's what I'm saying, though. If you're going to be a part of the story and the inside of your vehicle is a part of the story, then you got to show it. But if you are an insane person that paints the inside of your model and then glues it shut, you are insane.
I just still am lost on that one. I don't know a whole lot of people that do that.
I think there's a community out there, Jason, that does this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have heard this somewhere on the internet where people are like, I have to paint the inside of my Rhino.
Yeah, but then they let you open the hatch so you can see inside. That's the craziness.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You should just glue it closed and forget it exists and be like, no, mine didn't come with interior.
Yes. You don't need it. If it's not painted, I will know it's not. Awkwardish, are you one of these people? With much love, seek help. Call my number.
Don't call his number.
We're going to have a call-in line very soon.
We are going to make a call-in line.
Get ready, chat. If you want to get real, we're going to have the hotlines going. I think that would be cool. It would take some technical, because we can't just have anybody. We have to have a system of filtering, like a real talk show. At that point, then we're just like, well, we might as well get on Channel 7 or something.
We'll direct it to Matt's desk.
Yeah.
And Matt can answer it and determine if he thinks you're cool enough to be on the show.
That's actually, yes.
That's what they do.
Oh, 100%. That's literally what they do. So
I've called into radio shows before, and they have somebody vetting it, saying, all right, what's your story? And you tell the story, and then they're like, all right, hold, please. Or, yeah, that's not going to cut it. See ya.
Gosu said, I painted the inside of my Knight Lancer, but it was a display piece. I didn't glue it shut, but I can take the carapace off and the top. Yes, to look inside. That's different, right? That's different. It's still a little borderline. It's a little borderline, You're riding that fine line, Gosu. I'll say that as a friend. You're riding that line.
Gosu, you don't need friends like this. Paint how you like to paint.
Northrix. Do they have cable access in Arizona? Might be worth checking out. We're not the wild, wild west. We have cable.
We don't have internet, though.
No, we've got internet. Otherwise, we would not be here.
All we have is cable television, no internet. We are broadcasting you live from cable television channel 9 right now.
Okay.
Public access, university funded.
B-Town. Okay, this is funny. Next month painting challenge, paint the inside of a model that will never be seen.
I could painting an interior of a model. Okay.
If
All right.
we do that, I will roast every single one of these.
Judging by Christopher.
I will judge these, and it will be, you will have to sign.
It will be very, very judgy, is what he's saying.
Yes. Just, Judgment Day is what I'll call it. It'll end up with us, getting you all help. I can't, with
It's like
my good
one
conscience.
big free therapy session.
With my conscience, I cannot have you do that, chap. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I knew that I sicked that on the world of our community. Michael, oh no, my Land Raider was painted on the inside, then discovered I couldn't see 95% of the interior. That's my point, Michael. It leads to ultimate sadness. It leads to bad things. I feel for you, Michael, and we're here for you. I hear you. I see you. Don't ever let it happen again. Oh, man. Hey, speaking of never letting it happen again, welcome in, everybody. This is Monument Hobbies. We are Monument Hobbies.
Why do your segues never make any sense?
This is Jason. Beautiful Jason Craze. Painting up. Let's just get a round of applause for Jason, just because why not?
Thank you. Thank you.
See, there you go.
Thank you. He
is using our expert acrylics that will be coming out next week, so stay tuned. If you missed any of this painting, he's been using these all week. You can check out the past VODs from the last 2 days. And yeah, coming out really good, I think. We discovered that he actually does not like his dirty palette. When I say that out loud, it makes 100% sense. Makes sense. So there'll be a process now set in place to clean that off.
We've made momentous strides today, Chuck.
Huge. Chuck says, in today's episode of Adventures in Machine Shops, the dude who got fired last year for shoving a screwdriver into a live electrical panel on a 30-ton brooch applied to the opposition. Guess who isn't getting an interview? Probably that guy. Hey, that's a bold move, though, Chuck. It's a bold move.
Does he remember that he used to work there? That always baffles me. Well, I thought I could come back in a different position. I'm like, so you nearly killed people, right?
I mean, it is bold. I will give him, I hope courage was on his resume.
Some of your finer points.
Ghost Hunter. Where were you the last couple days? We were so left astray. We didn't know how many Discord members we had, the exact number. Because I rely on you for that.
We had to make it all up, Ghost Hunter.
I was like, I don't know, there's probably like 15 million in there. We really need you, man.
Yeah, because that becomes false advertising at some point.
Hey, we got about 15 million Discord members.
We are Discord.
The largest. We have stock in Discord.
We are Discord, by the way.
Oh, wow, Chuck. I hope you're joking. Oh, well, no, you're right. For a second, I thought you said he almost killed himself. No, it's because he stuck the screwdriver in the panel.
Not because they fired him. They fired him because he nearly killed himself.
Okay.
For doing dumb
I'm like,
crap.
oh no, why did he do that? Oh yeah, because he was a little silly. Okran says, I don't have any models that open, but now I want to cut open a Sylvaneth and paint a squirrel or something inside. Okran, no! I don't want this trend to be a thing.
Well,
get help.
Chris, can I give you a tidbit of wisdom?
If I said no,
it would still come out.
Yeah.
So
give it to me.
It's one of those, hey chat, what color do you wish I would paint this questions, right?
Oh, okay.
So I'm not really going to listen
to
the answer. But
I'm listening.
So you know that the more you talk about it, the more you talk about the red button, so to speak.
Oh, Jason, no.
The more chat is going to want to push
No.
the button.
No. That's not what these good people do.
You've
No,
met
no,
them,
no.
right?
No. You're false. I would humbly disagree. Our people would never do that.
Chat, would you do that? Chat, X up in chat if you would do exactly what I said.
No! Gosu says, the new washes are great. The brown gray was a hit. Nice. Oh, no. There's an X.
See?
There's another. There's many X's.
See?
There's a button. Where's the button? X. No, of course. No. You
See?
all need help. No.
Told you.
Jason, I don't think so.
Told
Regardless of
ya.
these X's, I think our people are good, solid people.
I mean, they're literally telling you what they would do right now.
Blood Wars, absolutely no. I don't want to do it. Okay, here's what you're gonna do. If the challenge is that, you have to, from scratch, you paint the inside, but the submission better be a shut vehicle. And I can't see the inside of it.
Oh, can you imagine?
Hey, just imagine what this looks like inside. Yeah, that'll be the challenge.
No, it's that everybody's in progress pictures show these beautifully painted interiors, and then
And the end.
the final picture is just the door glued shut.
Yes, 100%. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
I feel like that is gonna that would drive somebody to climb a bell tower with like a hunting rifle or something. I feel like that's one of those that there's somebody out there in the community that's like, I will not stand for this.
That's what I'm saying. It's me.
Oh, well,
I won't do it.
there you go.
I won't stand for this.
There you go, chat.
That's not going to be the challenge, chat. I'll literally go insane. Just like how Jason does synthwave. Doesn't like the synthwave.
I don't like fads.
He doesn't like fads. And mine is, I don't like... I was just about to say something silly, but I'm not going to. I just think if you're doing that in real life out there, let's take this to serious mode. I'm here for you. You can call in, and I will have a conversation with you. Although once we get a phone line, you best believe that this is just going to be Monument Crank Yankers. That's all this will become. If we get a call-in line.
Hey there, Sizzle Chest.
Because that's what I'll do. I'll call in.
Gonna say, if we get a phone line in the studio, forget about it. During stream, Chris's conversations will be there. Oh, I got the ultimate set of tools. You'll hire me. There, jerk face.
Maybe we'll see Chris's face on screen after the bell tower issue. Probably on the news. Yes, Shadowcast.
I always love the one where they called up to the prosthetics place and were asking how much a pair of eyes cost. Yeah, I lost both my eyes. I need to understand what it's going to take for insurance for me to get a new pair of eyes. And I'm like, well, sir, we don't normally do prosthetic eyes in pairs, but
It's so silly. Yes. For all of you who need to know, don't paint the inside of your models. I want to make a serious note on that, especially if you're gluing them shut.
Chris is the enemy of fun.
I
say, from this side of the table, chat, do what you want. Paint your way. Put the paint on the model. Glue the door shut. I don't care. Tell me it was great when you were really hating it. I don't care. I love you either way. That's the relationship we have, chat. This Christopher guy, I don't know.
This Christopher guy, I don't know.
Guy.
Speaking of this Christopher guy, Chuck says, to my question yesterday about the warped hobby mat, I put my bowl of hot pasta on it while I ate, and now it's mostly flat.
Awesome.
Hey,
See?
hey,
Genius.
good pasta. Hey.
For whoever is asking about the backside of the non-metallic metal, you can see what I've done here is I've treated the front like I'm doing all of my light side stuff, brightened it up, and then as I go around the back, I just take my brighter colors and start picking out some of the edges because the metal as a hard surface will still have a little bit of shine on the edges, but not as much of the reflection on the main face of all of those sections, right? So when we look at it like this, you still pick up some of that detailing, but most of the brightness is on this side, not this side.
That was Dumbris.
There you go, Dumbris.
Chris, you're not the boss of me. This is correct. Panic Bomb.
You don't know that for sure.
These are facts.
You don't know that for sure.
B-Town asks, what does BAB stand for, and what are you using it for?
It is Big Awesome Brush. That's a lie, but that's pretty close. It's Big A brush, and it is exactly that. It's a great brush for like doing terrain and larger surface areas, basing. It is a great big flat dry brush, so it will give you a lot of coverage if you need to dry brush larger areas like that. Just a great all-around large flat brush. It's been, believe it or not, it's been a great seller for us. It's one of the original
I love it,
utility brush sizes that we did, and when we stopped with the utility/artillery set years ago, a lot of people were like, "What about the BAB?" So we had it as its own thing for a long time, and now it's just back in a set with all the Dauntless brushes.
And if you haven't gotten those, pick them up. They're awesome. Okay. Vector says, it's a bold move to tell your opponent that the inside of your vehicles are painted, but the color isn't one they would guess and you wouldn't tell them. Oh, okay. Still doesn't convince me, Vector. Doesn't convince me. Just doesn't. I won't condone it.
Enemy of fun, chat.
Oh, panic bomb. Starting to build it right now. The interior is going to be fabulous. You're building the Rhino. Oh my goodness. Made a picture of it. It better be great, and it better be glued shut at the end of it. Follow through.
Everybody has to, with their entry, has to be your mother's phone number. Because Chris is going to call your mom and be like, I need to have a discussion with you about Dunbrus.
No, it's Panic Bomb.
Panic Bomb. I need to speak to you about Panic Bomb. And they're all going to go, what? What, you don't know your son's online moniker? What kind of mother are you?
Panic Bomb.
It's going to turn into a whole thing. We're going to be on the news. Arizona company calls and harasses people's mothers as part of some horrible challenge.
They're having people do insane things like paint the inside of their models that you'll never be able to see.
Oh, it's insanity.
Chuck says, absolutely. Let's punish Christopher with an hour conversation with my mother. That's funny. That's hilarious.
My mom used to come on stream.
You were saying that.
She doesn't do that anymore. Stop loving me.
Jade says, if Chris can do necromancy, he can talk to mine. I'll warn you, though, you might have trauma afterwards. Oh. Game Delay says, I'm 47. My mother is 80. I would like to hear this conversation. Period.
Right? That's like when people ask my mom, okay, so explain to me again what it is your son does. And
what
she's
does
like, okay, get this. She loves it. My mom turns 75 this year.
Nice. She used to come. When did she stop doing that?
I don't remember when the last time she came on stream was. It's been a couple of years, I would say. She tells me that she watches every now and then, but she doesn't talk in chat. So,
my mom will come in and watch the painting every once in a while.
I think I tend to embarrass my mom because I love her and she's a saint for putting up with me. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, I talk about her on stream and the stuff she does, and she doesn't want to.
Oh, I see. What was her name on stream?
Jeep's mom.
Jeep's mom. Nice.
Because she had a bird named Jeep. It wasn't Jason's mom or any of my 4 sisters' mom. It was Jeep's mom. Because bird.
Bird? Because she had a bird?
Because she has birds. She loves birds.
Nice.
She has a lot of birds. I don't know if she has a lot. I think she has at least 2.
What kind of birds?
African grays.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I don't remember. Jeep was like just some sort
Parakeet
of little
or something?
parakeet or parrot.
Nice.
Miniature parrot.
B-Town, what if your mom was cremated? We'll talk to her.
Yeah, I go back to the one where it's like only if you know necromancy. And the thing about the necromancy comment was that you might regret your choices once you spoke to her. And I'm like, so it was the speaking to the mom back from the dead part that was weird there, not the whole necromancy part. I think
Yeah,
was the
it
part
was
that got
the
me.
act of just talking to my mom rather than
That was going to make that uncomfortable.
I
Not
just-
the fact that, you know, it was the necromancy involved.
I just literally summoned the dead. But no, what's worse, talking to my mother. Jade says exactly. She was a terrible person. Well, Jade, I'm sorry to hear that. Secret hidden power of mine is that I am a necromancer. Just one of the kindest ones you'll ever meet. There you go. I admitted it, chat. Necromancer? Like a vampire? Yes. Ghost Hunter, welcome back. Wow. Great one. That's hilarious. I'll take that. No, Panic Bomb. I would not like a mockingbird to mock me. No. Excuse me. No, sirree, Bob.
It's my mom has African gray, and
Those are very talkative, aren't they?
Oh my God,
They're
are they?
very talkative.
Holy cow, I'm good at it. So my mom has this cough, this tickle cough that she's had for years, and the bird, my mom will be like I don't know, in the bathroom, and the bird will cough like my mom and repeat things my mom says, and I'm like, I thought my mom went to the grocery store or something, and I'm like, Mom, and it's the bird.
That's hilarious.
It's pretty crazy. Going back and adding some reflective areas on this breastplate down here where we would get the reflection of the metal beneath the curve of the breast part here.
Mm-hmm.
You need to think in terms of when you're doing non-metallic metal that every surface that has a highlight on it becomes its own light source, or has the potential to. It doesn't have to, but you know, like if I put a bright highlight on these details down here coming off the skull and you know, the skull itself to some extent, then I've got to have that reflect. Where did that come from? What is this Gunner thing right here?
I just saw it fall.
What is that?
So underneath the breastplate. I see what you're doing.
Right. Then that would cause there to be reflections not as bright, but reflections just the same up here, and they will be brighter the closer they are to that light source, right? That other reflected part of the metal. So maybe right here, and then a little brighter dot right there that is the brightness off of this thing, right? And that becomes like a secondary reflection spot there. And same thing over here.
And what color was that again?
This is bright neutral gray.
Bright neutral gray.
Yeah, we're using a standard Procryl color right now. When I'm doing details, it just gets annoying to have to mix the expert acrylics when I'm not using much paint.
Oh my gosh, Philip, you're silly. Christopher is so Italian, if you tied his hands together, he wouldn't be able to talk. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I do talk with my hands. I have to. It helps me emote. And what brush are you using here?
I am using a Dauntless size 1.
Dauntless size 1. Big Bob, welcome in. Hey, and speaking of being welcome in everybody. It is a beautiful.
That one almost worked.
You see,
Chris.
it did work.
Almost
It did.
worked.
It did work. Speaking of being welcome in. Right.
It's a little redundant, don't you think?
First of all, I'm really happy that you're all here. Second of all, where have you been? That's my question. Where are you? It's 10 p.m. Where are your children? Our children are here with we the people, because we are the children. We are the world. Watching and painting with Jason at the same time.
I swore today he wasn't going to get a rise out of me, chat.
No, I'm not trying to get a rise out of you. If we are the world. Game delay. Feels like Dauntless should have one size. I mean, you can't be more dauntless or less dauntless. You're just dauntless or you're not. I see what you're trying to do there, Game delay. I hear you. And you know what? I have to say, the Bab. If you haven't tried that out, speaking of our dauntless brushes, very fun brush to use. Oh, I'm working, little Billy. You best believe I am at work. Right here, right now. Speaking of working, I see what you did there. Oh, I'm working. Oh, I'm working, little Billy.
Speaking of working, Chris.
Physically, maybe. Hey, I'm working. I'm working it. Ted Onion's ATM machine. The Bab is the YOLO of brushes. Nice. I'll take that one, Northrex. I'll take that one. Ted Onion says, next month painting challenge. 32 mil with only the Bab. Could be fun. But how could we prove that?
That's the problem with those. I would have to ask everybody to submit a 24-hour video of you painting the model. So I don't do things like that very often.
It's
just because
tough.
I can't tell. I can't tell what you've done.
Plus, we don't want to force anybody if they can't afford it at the moment.
Yeah, we don't. That's why we don't tell you what model you can paint very often. We may do some eventually that are like, paint one of the texture trainers up or something.
That could
like
be kind of cool for people, who can't essentially attend Nova. For all of you who might have seen our announcement, we've got to have our own texture trainer category at Nova. But maybe that month we do a Nova, like follow along kind of a thing if you can't make it.
Yeah, it could be.
But do our challenge within our Discord. That could be fun. If what Chris is doing counts as work, then what Jason is doing counts as work, and I'm not buying that. Game delay. Calling him out. Oh, this is work. Isn't that right, Jason?
I mean, as long as I have to put up with people like Game Delay, it is.
Ooh.
Bazoinga!
Bazanga.
This is work? What are you talking about?
Heck yeah.
Ain't no free lunch.
Source, Mr. Sushi, when am I getting those Skaven painting streams you promised me? I have no idea what you're talking about, Source.
It is really fun, though. So
This is true.
I guess that we live in a world where it's unfortunate that we think that if something's fun, it can't also be work.
We live in a world. Huh. Source, I don't know what you're talking about. Game delay. Harsh, but fair.
Harsh, but fair. You haven't said that one in a long time.
I like that. It's my tramp stamp.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. I forgot that's where this story always leads. Sorry, Chad. Sorry, Chad. I didn't mean to bring that one. I didn't mean to dredge that one up from the depths.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm old and forgetful, chat, so every now and then I forgot what got us here.
Jason, give me your signature line. Do 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 do. Yeah, that's right, Little Billy. That is his signature line.
I never in my entire life have led, followed, in the middle of.
Every single day, Jason walks into this office skipping, and he goes, "Hello, world." Do verbatim.
I do skip a lot.
He's like, "Hey, how you doing, world?" Do. Source. I said you should paint some rat ogres because it's a nice mix of fur, irritated skin, metals, warpstone, etc., etc. And you said it was a great idea. It is a great idea. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, Source. I can say something is a good idea, but then not have it be executed on stream. Now, I do think that's a great idea, but also the talent, aka Jason HBDC Craze, also has to be excited about the model. There's a beautiful balance that we have to cohere to here, chat. You know what I'm saying? I need stuff from Jason, and he needs stuff from me because we're on the same boat. And I need him to want to. Oh no! What? What did you say?
What I need is for him to make my button panel work so that.
No, you get no control. You just keep painting.
See? There we go, chat.
What do you need buttons for? Now you want a clean.
The truth comes out.
You want a clean
this is where
palette.
I do this, chat.
Oh. No, I'll edit that out.
Help me.
He's safe.
He's
fine.
It'll never make the cut.
He's fine.
It'll never make the cut. See, this is my life.
You want to paint a rat ogre? You have any desire to paint a rat ogre?
Not really.
Okay. See, I tried, Source. There you go. We can find something else though with those things. Well, Source, if you look at your thing,
I say that without seeing the new ones. Somebody would have to show me the new Skaven.
There's some cool ones, but they're rats.
I've never been a fan of Skaven.
They're all the same. They're okay. The Warpstone is the funnest part about them, I would say. The whole, green stones. I do like that part. But they're just rats. I mean, yeah. How about a legally distinct ogre rat? Yes, Alex, we could do that one. Punisher says, don't you recall from one of the streams a little while ago when Jason saying, I'm sure we'd be excited about painting a rat ogre. Do. Yeah.
This is why I said you can't ever trust chat. You just can't. Because they do stuff like this to you.
Hoosier says,
want to spend 9 years helping yes. to educate, right?
Yeah.
The world and to share all of the things I've learned, right? For the low cost of free 50 free. And this is how they treat you.
So that's what we have to ride here, right? That we have to make sure that Jason wants to paint something or he'll lose his mind. And you all have to be able to learn something. There's a fine balance we have to do here, people.
I'm always willing to look at the models, though. Sometimes, when I'm thinking Rat Ogre in this particular instance, I'm like, those models are awful. But I know that there's been new Skaven. I haven't paid attention to Skaven in forever.
They're okay.
They don't appeal to me.
They're okay. They're rats with big guns.
Yeah.
Which
they
is
just
fine.
never appealed to me. They've never had the only thing from Skaven that I've enjoyed painting in the last decades are the big, like King Demon Rat things.
Yeah, well, that's different. That big new demon rat's pretty cool. But
they had one before that, and I really enjoyed painting that one. Right? They had the one that was before him.
Yeah,
like this is like a named version, and those were kind of like the generic greater demon versions.
Derpstick says, so is Jason going for colored non-metallic metal on this armor, or does this steel have a name? Is it verdigris?
No, it's just steel. Its name is Phil.
Now, I think this steel has some character with the undercoloring.
Yeah, we're not done.
Yeah.
I'm putting some highlight on it so that we can get the shine spots figured out.
Yeah.
But I'm not done yet. I mean, this could be, just regular steel with environmental reflections in it.
Yeah,
I plan to put more color over the top. I'm going to use some yellows, some magentas. We're going to put a lot more color on it, and it won't look like this in the end, but this gives you a good sense of like where the shine is, and the metallic nature of the material starts to show through better.
Yeah.
It almost has like a sky earth non-metallic metal, chrome feel to it right now.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm going for. I'm just, playing around with new colors. Exploring, like I talked about yesterday, the expert acrylics really allow me the freedom of mixing without, or with abandon. I can just be like, yeah, I'll try this now and do something really fun.
And going back to my original point, we have to make sure Jason's having fun. Isn't that right, Jason?
I don't like saying it like that. It makes me sound like Martha Stewart or something.
Martha Stewart. No, Jason has to be inspired by the model. That's what I meant by having fun. You like being inspired by something cool. So if you don't want to paint that model, it's not going to be enjoyable.
Correct.
That's what I mean.
Rule of cool.
Rule of cool.
Carries all the weight with
so if we get a cool rat, that's different, right?
Yeah.
Jason and I are always having fun. Isn't that right, Jason? Me, you, and we.
Is this where I have to say yes, sir, Christopher?
That's
sir?
right. That's right.
Okay, then yes, sir, Christopher.
That's
sir.
right. We are always having fun here, chat. We're always having fun. Isn't that right, Jason? We're always having fun here, chat. Always. Anyway, welcome in, everybody. It's almost 3 p.m. already? Blink twice if you're scared, Jason. Don't do it, Jason. Don't do that. Says, oh, he's blinking. We'll edit that out. He's safe. I've cut all the police lines to this building. What? Look at that.
You see, again, the bright color changes everything, right? And this is just bright neutral gray. It's reading like white, but it isn't anywhere near white. So we still have a lot of room to get brighter than this.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say so, Jason. Yeah. Yep.
We pay him for this.
Me?
Yeah. You get paid for this.
People get paid?
Yeah.
What?
You get paid. I know that.
What?
I know that the state garnishes 100% of your wages.
Wait a
but
minute.
Technically, you're still getting paid.
There's a paycheck here? People are getting paid? I'm getting paid to do this? That's right, chat. We're here. We're ready. We're painting with Jason. And I, for one, think this model's coming out great. Game delay. She looks cold. Yeah, she is a little cold. Northrex says, watching the metal come together is sparking joy right now.
Awesome.
Hey, that's great news.
This is one of those real satisfying parts of the trip or the journey, if you will, is when you start to get the shine to come together when you're doing non-metallic metal. And it's one of the hardest things to teach people is to be okay with the in-between steps where it doesn't read like metal yet.
The ugly phase or something was what you called it?
I mean, we joke about it like that. I don't think it has to be ugly, but it just doesn't read correctly, so it's a little confusing, and it is something that you really need to tune your brain to understand that, once you get there and you do it once and it really starts to look right, then your next time you're way more comfortable through the ugly phase, if you want to call it that.
Or as Northrex says, the trust the process phase.
Yeah,
that's a better
I like
word.
that. Is that you have to trust the process, right? You know that you're looking to get there. There's that fearlessness that says that I don't care what happens, I can always fix it.
Yep. The trust the process phase. A good face to be in. What are you gonna do with the back of her head there? Is that hair?
No, it's
Is
like
it
a
like a
veil
head-
cloth
Oh,
or
okay,
something
it's a
that comes
veil
off the
cloth.
back.
Okay, I was like, huh.
She has that turban on, right?
Yeah. Okay, so it's like a cloth of some kind.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a cloth. I've just painted it with the dark camel green over the purple right now, or the dark yellow green over the
Right.
purple, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
None of these colors are colors that I care about. They're just giving it all an earthy base tone
Yeah.
over the purple that allow me to shift it into reds or oranges or whatever I want. You notice I painted like a burnt sienna over the bone section
Right.
of the skull and the finger bones that are hanging from her head.
Those are
Just because I know I want they're all finger bones.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's all finger bones.
That's hilarious. Well, it's not hilarious, but you know what I mean.
I think he meant it was hilarious.
It's morbid and
This is Chris the Necromancer coming across.
yeah, it's hilarious, chat. That's great.
I love to count. Two fabulous finger bones.
Source says she needed that head because she can't see. That's right. She's the decapitated head are her eyes now.
Yeah, I'm not real sure the story here. Right? This feels like the deposed king. Right? It definitely has that vibe to it.
The deposed king.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
he's a king, and he is no longer.
And he is deposed.
Yeah, I don't think he's
He
doing
is
his
classified as
kingly
deposed.
duties anymore for some reason. Here.
He is deposed. Yeah, I could see that for this king. No longer a king, but still head of the state.
Dun,
Xenobone,
dun,
okay.
dun.
Okay. All right, I see you. She's just okay, Source, that's an interesting way to put it. She's just in the process of assembling a king. Maybe that's what she's doing.
That could be too.
She's putting together a king. Like, look at this very kingly head that I have. I'm going to make it into something. I don't know if that's the case here.
I think she's courting
Okay.
somebody who she has a crush on.
Look at this head.
I brought you this, honey.
I brought you this, dearest.
Dearest, I am professing my true love for you.
She's a kingmaker. That's right, Jade. She's making a king. She's like a cat bringing a dead mouse to its owner.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
kind of the feel I'm going for.
That's right, Source. That is the feel. That's the vibe. Is that she is just. Check this out. She doesn't look like, I don't know.
I did good, right?
Yeah. She doesn't look like a mean person. She just doesn't look kind. But maybe that's just me.
Christopher.
If I saw this gal in real life, just saying, holding up a king's head with a bunch of finger bones and a skull coming out of her shoulder, I don't know if I'd say hi.
What?
Well, I would say hi, but I don't know how I would say it. You know,
I don't even know what to
like,
say.
hello. Yeah. She's returning lost property. Who knows what the story is here, chat? T. Schmid, welcome in. Dang it. Where have I been? Where have you been, T. Schmid?
Here it goes.
And
Wait
where
for
have
it.
all
Wait
of you
for it.
been? Welcome.
Blah, 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 kids, blah. Blah, blah.
Wow. You hear that, chat?
How you doing, Taylor?
Wow. Don't hey, how are you doing, Taylor him
Oh,
right
I
now?
can.
You're
He's been
in
here
trouble.
long enough. He knows what to expect.
This is bad. This is not good. Did you hear what he just did, chat? He just buried me alive.
What are you talking about?
You just buried me alive.
How did I bury you
I
alive?
was
How are you
trying
even
to-
parted? Why is
I
this
am-
about you?
I am trying to entertain the people. All right?
He gets paid for this chat.
Yeah. Title of this piece is New King Who Dis. That's right, D-Fresh. She's presenting tribute to Percival. Oh, Chuck, she could be. There you go. Little Billy. Real question, not a Chris insult. I feel like when I try to do volumetric and edge highlights, I overdo where they're being where they're being placed. Okay, how do I know where each highlight should be?
Where each highlight should be?
Yeah. Volumetric and
What type-
edge highlights.
So what type of material?
Yeah, you're talking metal, Little Billy. I feel like the mid process seems like too little, but after feels like too much. Metal.
Okay, so non-metallic, like what we're doing here.
Yeah. Here's the question.
You overdo where they're being placed. So I think one of the biggest things that you need to take into account when painting non-metallic metal and doing your reflections, right, your highlights, is that number one, you have to make a bigger jump. Keep it on the model because I'm going to point at the model. Number one, you've got to, you got to make a bigger jump to a higher value color from your midtone. Our last midtone or first highlight was this baby blue, this sky blue color. And now I'm going to bright neutral gray. So I'm making a fairly bright jump. Glazing that first layer of the gray over the blue to give you that blend is key, because then, you're able to control with that thin glaze how much of that brightness and where you want it to go. You should have already pushed from your shadows through your midtones to your brightness so you know where you're putting your color. It's when you put the brightness on there, that first thin layer that kind of blends, so to speak, with the layer underneath it, lets you kind of guide to where your brightness wants to be. If you'll notice, like let me have Chris zoom in real tight, and I'll do one of these areas real quick on the shoulder. Okay?
Is that good? There you
go. Yeah, perfect. Right. So if this area works for it. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I need to take a thin layer of the glaze because I want the brightness to be along this line here.
Can you center up just a touch more?
Yeah, I moved it. Yeah. I want the brightness to live. Get some paint off my thing. Mm-hmm. I want the brightness to live along this line here. Right. So I'll just do a little line real quick. Right in there. Okay. So that side of the blue. So in order to make that work, I will glaze over the blue back to that line. I won't draw the line. I'll glaze little bitty perpendicular brush strokes to that area where I want it, letting that tail, that comet tail of gray, land behind it. And see, I get my shine. And after I do that once, I can look at that and I can say, is that enough shine in that area? Is it big enough? Or do I need to do another pass? Right? I'm having to watch not breaking the sword because it's kind of in a funky area here. And I'm going to grab this edge. I'm going to get carried away and do all this at the same time. Right? Because I got a little bit of brightness I want right there on that edge. And so if that's not bright enough, then I can come back and do it again and make my area a little bit tighter in there and make it a little bit brighter. I want this line here to have some shine as it reflects the edge of the metal there. Right? And so by doing it in thin passes, even though that was only like 2 passes, I can define how I want the shine to be. So I'm constantly, as I paint, refining the idea as my brush puts paint on the model. You don't go in and say, okay, it needs to be this line and draw the line very often. I put it on there, I'm like, ooh, that looks good. Or, oh, not enough, build it up a little bit. And the idea is starting with thin, light brush strokes when doing highlighting, which keeps it confined to a tighter area. If you use a bigger brush, bigger, heavy brush stroke, you might get too much paint on the model, at which point in time it's like now blown out. So doing it like this is really the key. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Waiters!
Welcome in, Raiders. Whittle Goblin.
I was going to say, the waiters
Witty.
From Whittle, are those Whittle waiters?
That's right. Welcome in, Raiders. Jason, that was great. What was that? What was that tip you just did called? Give me a title for that.
Painting.
Perfect. That's what we're doing in here, people. Welcome in, everybody.
I think it's how and whys of picking your highlights or placing your highlights when doing non-metallic or any kind of
placing
reflective,
your high. Yeah.
because I know where I want it. First, I got to know where I want it to go, and we've defined we want that leading edge of the blue, but I want to glaze through the blue. And this is a perfect example of how the end of your brushstroke is where most of the pigment stays, right? And more recognizable as you paint thin.
Placing your highlights. Okay, I get you.
Because if you just start, with an uncontrolled brushstroke and you just put a lot of bright color on an area, then yeah, you're going to feel like it's too much. It overdoes your mid-tone very quickly. You see how light my brushstroke is I'm almost not touching the model in most cases. And then just little, not even millimeter long brushstrokes along this to build up that color. And again, I want a little tail of shine there because of this edge that reflects back onto it, right? And then I just get to determine on each of those, how bright is it? That looks about right compared to the panel next to it, but there might be more shadow from her head as I get further up this shoulder plate.
So you're just kind of following your light source.
Yeah. Well, I've done that the whole way, right? If you've been building up your colors correctly, and this isn't just for non-metallic metal, this is of anything. If you're building up your color correctly from dark to light, then you've already kind of given yourself the landing spot for your bright color. And you'll know how much space you've left to put the brightness in there, because look at how narrow that band of sky bluish color is. So I know I can't put a lot of the bright neutral gray there, otherwise I cover up the previous color, and that's really never the goal, I don't think. We're not really putting paint on the model to completely make it disappear with the next layer. We might be putting an underpaint color on the model to put another layer over it so that they blend through. You might do a filter over the top of it so you get both, but it creates a third color in the visual blend it makes. So there's times where you do that. But when you're layer painting like this, which is really what non-metallic is we're bringing color to a final bright highlight. And so you're wanting to paint yourself into that corner, so to speak. So I'm putting a layer of base, which in this case was the dark sea bin, which is this dark blue green that you see around the rivets and such, that becomes our dark reflection color. So I don't have to paint the reflections later. I do that. Then I put the greens on there. We did the greens and then the yellow greens with some of the scratching on the yellow greens and stuff. And then, and then the blue, right? This baby sky blue that we've done is the next one, and they all just keep moving towards the highlight and covering 50, 60, 70% of the previous layer, but moving towards the highlight. So as you do that, each band of color gets narrower and narrower as you get to the highlight, and you have to just make sure that you're judging your space correct so that by the time I get to my final little band of blue here, I leave myself enough spot to put this bright reflection on there. And this even gives me enough space to go back and dot a little white. Because remember, this is bright neutral gray, so this might look bright like a white, but it isn't even anywhere close to white. I still have a lot of brightness I can put on this.
How would you... Yeah. I got to figure out a way how to practice this. Right?
Yeah.
How would... I guess it's kind of a simple question, but how would you practice this? Like, what are some tips on how to practice this?
I mean, this is the bulk of how I paint, no matter what we're painting. If we're painting non-metallic metal, if we're painting robes or whatever, you see me do the same thing, like on that glaze and layering video that we just did with the green cloak.
Yeah.
The same thing is happening. I paint the whole area with the base coat. Then the next area is 75% coverage of that, then 75, then 75, and 75. And you can do that at scale until you run out of space. And your brightest color is that one where you're running out of space. And then you see, like in that one where we glaze green back over the top to make our blending look better and things like that. So you have tricks that you can go back at the end to add more color to it. But that's really how we paint, is I call it painting yourself into a corner. When you paint from dark to light, that's the goal. The bright spot is the corner. You're painting towards the corner, and you trap yourself in the space at the brightest spot with what you can do as your brightest color. So if you're not careful, you go dark color, your shade base, and then you go to your base tone, and then your mid tone, right? And then your first highlight. And if you don't judge your size of brushstroke correctly, you get to your first highlight, and now you don't have any space to put your bright highlight. Then when you paint your bright highlight, you cover that first color. Like I could cover up my baby blue on this, and then now my bright color sits too close to a darker color because the baby blue was the step in between. So then I create either too much contrast and it looks funky, right? Or it makes that bright area look way too big. So you have to make sure that you're getting used to, and that really is only capable to learn by practice and, failing and succeeding and failing and succeeding, to be able to judge on everything you paint. Every color you lay down lets you see how much of the space you're covering, and you can see, do I have enough space for my next color? Yes. Do I have enough space for the next 2 colors? Yes. If you don't, then you go back and extend the color you're painting with, right?
Yeah.
And you extend that further so that you give yourself enough space for 2, 3, 4 more colors. And it may mean that you're pushing your dark color back to where the thing is going to look overall brighter. So you have to make that determination. That's a way that I determine how many colors I'm putting on a surface a lot of times, is if I need a lot of the shadow color to stay in order to get the story across that I'm trying to tell, and I don't have enough space to do 5 other colors, then I retreat it back to 3, 4, 3, 2. Because you have to pick and choose your battles, because you just don't always have enough space to put every color you want to on a surface. They're just, especially in miniature, they're too small.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's Baznet. Yes. Chris, there are things called texture trainers you can practice on. Then Jordan, reprime and practice again. Yeah. This is true.
And then Jordan it.
Yes, T. Schmid, you're right. Hey, that was a great little bit. Thank you, Jason. Hopefully that helped your question, little Billy. Browntown Games, welcome in. Welcome in to everybody if you are joining us from Witty's raid.
Witty, are you still here? Hope your stream was going well. Sorry you guys ran in right when we were being asked some questions.
It was great. We've been using some of our expert acrylics that'll be coming out next week. So over the last couple of days, Jason has been demoing some of those on top of our normal Pro Acryl line base layers. So check that out. You're welcome, little Billy, even though that you said not Chris, but you're welcome. I did that for you because I wanted that bit. I record the bits, chat, that I think will be useful to you.
Now, there's a harder story to be told in figuring out where to place your highlights. That one is one where we talk a lot about getting yourself some...
Where to place them?
Yeah, like, when you're doing metal or anything, you have to be able to break the shape down so that you understand how light would reflect off of that shape. And that's true of shirt, cloth, skin, whatever. It all reflects light, which is why you can see the color in the first place. How much and how and what way it does that, how much it absorbs versus reflects.
But you're talking about the shapes and how they bend the light.
Right, like where to put those highlights and how to go from, dark color on the underside of the cup of the breastplate here over the top, and where to put my shine and how big to make the shine is really just a matter of direction of lighting. My light is kind of coming from here, I guess, off of her right shoulder. And so I've got broader highlight on this one than on this one. Right, my highlight's up further on this one because it goes and shows where the light is, and then it's kind of middle on this one, but wider. So that's really just a matter of understanding the geometry and the vision of the piece that you're painting, and sometimes just taking the risk and saying, yeah, I'm going to put it here. And we break those rules all the time just for the rule of cool. There's going to be points where you're like, yeah, I don't want to do it the way it really would look because it wouldn't give me enough contrast. So in miniature painting, a lot of the times we're adding fake contrast, I would call it, over what it would be in reality.
But you also, you'll do that thing where you'll spin the model around and you can obviously see where the light is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times that's how, we apply our base coats and things like that. Start from dark and then start working towards where you want it to be bright. As we talk about how a zenithal highlight will help with that. If you're newer, and then once you start painting enough models, you start just getting a gist for, okay, I know how to place my light on this model. I understand the shapes of the model and where I want brightness and darkness, and then you just start kind of running and gunning with it. Use the tools you have at your disposal to work however you need them to work. Zenithal highlighting is great as a kind of paint by numbers way to look at a shape.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to apply the zenithal correctly.
Nice. Thank you for that tidbit. That was a great tidbit.
Is that a tidbit?
Tidbit? Tipply bit? Whatever you want to say that is. Non-metallic metal tips and tricks on placing highlights. There you go, chat. Welcome in. Hey, and speaking of being welcomed in and tidbits, welcome in. We're so glad you're here. Little Billy says, thank you, Mama Jason.
If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
It's a Jason bit. That's right. Spazznat, you're very correct. It is a Jason bit. This model always, when you're holding it, it seems so like that sword scares me.
Yeah,
because it's like
I'm really
like
having
swinging
it's
around.
awkward
Yes.
to hold in my hand and paint at this side the way that I want to, because right now the sword is like, scaring me, like it's gonna hit the table and bust right off.
I know.
I'm making it work though.
Hey, you're making it work, Jason.
I'm making it work, Chris.
Browntown Games. Can Jason tell us what colors will be released in the first set of heavy body paints? Of course.
I can. I have them all here. You want to see them? Hang on. Let me paint get this brush load off of here onto the shoulder plate, and then we'll pull them on out and show ya. I'll show ya. I'll do you one better. This is very awkward.
Looks good on camera.
This one's really hard to get.
It is a little. It's little spiky bits there.
This one's hard to get to because I got to pull this way, right?
Uh-huh.
But we've painted everything else, pulling it out of that area because it's very difficult to get my brush down in this area. So we're just gonna have to make it work. It's gonna be messy.
I mean, it works. Little Billy, take it easy.
You out of here?
Great question. Really good questions today.
Pulled it off okay. Not big enough shine though. Okay. Paint colors.
Yep.
I'll just start with what's out on the bench. We've got sepia, burnt umber, nickel azo yellow, titanium white, Payne's gray, carbon black, primary cyan, primary yellow, primary magenta. Right. Then we've got cobalt blue, sap green, permanent green light, dioxazine violet, pyro orange, pyro red, and burnt sienna.
Nice.
16 colors.
16 colors for you, chat. There it is.
16 colors. A really great base to be able to paint anything you want to paint.
You're going to be able to do a lot with that.
Anything you want with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a good selection of things like the violet that you can create any of your purples with the pyro red from. You've got the primaries and the cyan yellow and magenta with white and black that you can do anything you want. Great hues like Payne's gray that you just will use all the time. The nickel azo yellow, I think you'll find to be one of the colors you use the absolute most. It's the one that we glazed back on to get these greens.
Yeah.
Of course, browns. You've got the sienna, umber, and sienna, umber, and sepia that you can use for just about any of the browns you want, along with the azo greens.
Nice.
So, yeah. Nothing you can't do here, Chet. Nothing you can't. I should leave all these out. They'll just all sit there. That's uncontrollable, but that's good.
You're gonna leave them all there?
I mean, I don't know what else to do, Chris.
No, that's okay. I like
16 tubes of color, and I'm using.
We got to figure out a system for you.
No, we don't. No,
I'll figure out a system.
They just sit right here.
Jason, no.
They just sit.
You're killing
right
me,
here.
dude.
They just sit.
No.
Right here.
Jason, you're actually killing me.
Right here. That's how they work. They're just like that.
It hurts my heart.
You did get plaid. This is the plaid
right.
starter set. You have to build it yourself. We decided it was going to be too easy if we just gave you the paint. You now have to build it yourself.
We gave you plaid paint, and
it's like Build-A-Bear. It's just build a plaid.
Build a plaid.
Build a plaid.
Build a plaid.
Yeah, that's our store at the mall.
Build a plaid.
Build a plaid.
Hello, Build a plaid. Welcome
to Build a Plaid.
My name is Jason. How are you today?
It's not a person. It's a store.
No. This is definitely.
You don't walk in and go, "Hello, McDonald's. I would like a burger."
You do that though.
Oh my god.
Hello, McDonald's. I heard you sell burgers.
Yeah, you see what I have to put up with?
I don't see what you have to put up with.
No, of course you don't. Of course you don't, Christopher. Of course you don't.
Blood Walrus has a question. How does the carbon black compare to coal black and satin black?
Carbon black is like a coal black.
Carbon black is coal black?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a little truer black because it's not quite as matte as coal black.
Yeah.
So it's in my opinion, one of the best mixing blacks. I like it better than Mars. Although we may come out with a Mars black at some point in time.
A Mars black, you said?
Yeah.
Huh. This might sound naive, but what is Mars black?
Just another hue of black.
Another hue of black?
Well, another pigment. This would be...
Jason's model is all, "Hello, McDonald's. I have brought you the head of Burger King."
Yes.
That's true.
Also, could be true.
Other than the colors themselves, how do they differ from the ordinary artist heavy body acrylics or from other ordinary artist heavy body acrylics?
How
do they compare?
So, the easy thing is they're better for miniature painting because what we've done is make sure that we've matted them down. You're not dealing with, satiny or glossy paints. We've made sure that they lay as flat as possible and don't try to peak or give you lots of texture. One of the things that has happened over the years in the world of artist acrylics is that with heavy bodies especially, they want to have a little bit more dimension to them, so they kind of perform almost, not like, I'm not going to say they perform like oils. That would be stupid to say that. But oils, one of the things with them is that they can peak really nicely and give you a texture, show your brush stroke, allow a lot of stylistic approaches to painting on canvas. And these do not. These will lay flat so they don't clutter the details on your models. But they have an absolute tremendous pigment load that allows you to get the most out of each color. A lot of people are like, why would I use them? Well, for filtering and layer painting, they are just the bee's knees because they get you that color in fewer steps because of the pigment vibrancy. And they're just, they can be a little more frustrating to work with, which is why, they're not the primary go-to in our industry because they're not already liquid.
Yeah.
Right. So it does take a little more effort to mix. But.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about it. The way that you're seeing me work here, we're using one of our bottled acrylics right now. Okay, this is going to be weird because there would be a little bit of reflection on here from the spiky things going up onto the arm. So I'm going to create that here using some of these darker reflected spots that I've inadvertently left on here.
Browntown Games asks, any plans for Indian Yellow or Cobalt Turquoise in the future?
I might. Indian Yellow is on the list, so that could be a thing. I've got 8 other colors. It really is going to depend on largely on how the community responds. You know, we've got some of our competitors that are releasing heavy bodies as well, and it's kind of a shtick right now. We've been working on them for a long time. We're going to see how how the community responds, because I think that they are a great additive to your painting process. The ability to mix, if you're at the point in your painting journey where you're enjoying mixing colors and playing with your paint, and I don't mean like playing with your food, right? But, finding that the journey isn't all about, grabbing that color off the shelf that is the color that you want to use, that you're like, I don't know what color this wants to be, and, playing around with mixing more, and finding interesting colors through that journey, then I think you'll really, really love these.
And Vector, off of that, is asking, are they comparable to transparents? How would you go about making them thin, glaze, and wash medium in water? ?
I've just been using water, me. But yeah, we talked yesterday a lot about using the glaze and wash medium on them. You will need more thinning to get them to the same viscosity, because obviously they start a lot thicker. So just be aware of that. But they thin just fine. Because Pro-Acryl is already the same thing, right? The beauty of Pro-Acryl is that it is artist grade, highest grade pigments, highest grade medium that you can get. It is our Expert Acrylics already made liquid for you. So if you find yourself wanting to get the Expert Acrylics and then thin them down to where they are usable in an airbrush, just go buy this bottle of color you want from Pro-Acryl, right? The normal liquid acrylics, because that's exactly what Pro-Acryl already is. Okay? What these are for is when you want that slightly reduced filter, or to paint in layers with them, where you can use the lower opacity that they have, right? Because artist acrylics have a lower opacity just inherently. And so you can use that lower opacity in most of the colors. Some are still opaque, like titanium white and the blacks. But you can use that lower opacity to get you to a point where your layering gives you smoother blends quicker. So you're not doing 15 layers of glazing. You're literally putting 1 layer of paint on. And because there's so much pigment per volume in the paste acrylics, but the transparency is already built into them to some extent. They're like our transparent paints, thicker, right? They have even more pigment than our transparent paints. Yeah, it's a thing where if you haven't used artist acrylics before, this is one where you need to try it. Pick up a tube of color or 2 or all of them and start playing around.
I am Robert TV. I'm glad to watch this stream every day, knowing I'll hear Jason repeat this because I love the product so much. I've never gotten tired of hearing it, and it's true. Nice. Well, we're glad. We were talking about that the other day. The reason why we talk about a lot of these things is that Jason will answer the same question a lot of the times, but it's in a different framing, right?
It may not resonate with everybody.
Certain framing really resonates with certain people, right?
Yeah.
So something might click for you in one of these.
Or, I'm guilty of this too. There's times where I just have to hear it a million times for it, because I have to be in the right frame of mind. Like, a lot of times I'll hear people talking and I'm like, dude, that makes so much sense. And they're like, I literally say that every day. And I'm like, well, I don't listen to you except for today. I mean, is that true though? It's like I listen to you differently sometimes. It's like some people are like, literally, I talk about this every day. And I'm like, yeah, but most of the time I'm just hearing you blah, 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 Charlie Brown teacher. And then all of a sudden it really clicked with me. And I get it. I mean, that's just the way things work. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if that's what it takes, I will say it a million times. If at the end it, resonates with somebody, no matter how long you've been here. Like I said, non-metallic metal is one of those where I get people who have watched this stream for coming up on 9 years, right? Some of our longest time viewers. And those viewers will say, you know what? I tried it for the first time and it really made sense to me. That, I don't know what it is, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, it's 9 years of listening to some kooky old man on the internet say it, do it, and you finally getting confidence built up to go try it yourself. And then putting it into practice, whether it's from me or somebody else you found on the internet who told you how to do it, whatever. It's that time where it takes you to get to the point where you're going to, okay, I'm just going to try it, right? Because it really is. We're our own worst enemy a bunch of times when it comes to that, because we'll think of every reason not to do it. Oh, I'm going to suck. Oh, it's not going to look good.
Yeah.
Right? See, on this, going back to earlier when we were talking about what do you do on the back side of the non-metallic, on this, I didn't even paint it. It's just the base coat. So the base coat and the highlight on this. I didn't even put the mid-tone on here. And I can get away with that. I'd put that in the case. Doesn't matter. This is another stream of me painting with the same color the whole stream.
Crucible, just wanted to say that after being introduced to Pro Acryl, it's my go-to brand now. Nice.
Awesome.
Cheers for the fantastic products, being shilling it ever since. Nice. That was first time chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
We love that.
It really is. Our whole goal was to make artist-grade acrylics that were formulated for painting on 3D surfaces, which that was the kicker. They aren't. Like, artist acrylics are not made for painting on 3D surfaces. They're made for painting on canvas, which is a lot different. It sounds silly to say that. It's like, oh, they work on everything. Sure they do. But they work better on canvas than they do on a three-dimensional surface, especially one with tiny scale and, chain link.
Yeah.
I always refer to, like, chainmail armor. Chainmail armor is like one of the things where it's if you have a thicker paint, it's just going to fill in that detail. You're going to be really bummed. And that's what, a bunch of those paints do, is fill in the detail if you're not fiddling with them on the palette a whole long time. And so we were like, well, what does it take? Because I was using, the first time I made Bold Titanium White live on stream in front of a live audience, I made it out of high-end artist acrylics. And I had to spend a long time thinning them to the point where I could put them through the airbrush. And if you're going to spend all that time, it's like, why don't we just make this? I mean, that was literally what it was. That's why Pro Acryl exists. How do you do that? Stabilize it to where it's usable over and over and over again, and people would enjoy it.
Yep. Right out of the bottle. Enjoy it right out of the bottle.
Bottle to model, baby.
Ghost Hunter, I have to do moving stuff. I've pinned your comment, so Ghost Hunter, that will not. Hopefully the move goes good.
Yep, hope the move continues to go well.
Hey, don't you worry about it. Non-metallic metal is definitely one of the most sought after questions about miniature
100%.
painting.
100%, because when people see it and it clicks, it looks like metal.
Well, that clicking, that's the thing. Like once you make non-metallic metal click, I feel like there's no going back. Right? From true metallic.
Oh, from when you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it's going to be such a big light bulb for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that really is the key, is getting it done in a way. But I think when people see it, it immediately, if you just see it on a model and it really clicks, you're like, holy hell, dude, how does that look like that? And the first questions, especially if you're a new painter into hobbying, then the first question is, how do you make the paints look like that, right? Because it seems like magic. And then you find out, oh, it's not even metallic paint, right? It's like, oh, that never even came across my mind, because when you're just starting out, it's like, yeah, you buy this Retributor gold and this bolt gun metal or whatever it is, and that's how you make metal.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, of course I get a metallic paint to paint the metal bits. It makes sense. We all did that. And then you see something that's not done that way, and you're like, wow, that really looks like metal. Like that makes it come alive.
Yep.
In ways that you can't make metallic paint come alive.
Yeah.
And then it starts the questions. And it's like we need to make the meme video, right? Where it's like the life of a painter learning in MM, right? It's like they get all excited, they ask about it, they see it done, they go try it, and then they go right back to metallic paints.
Yeah.
and it's like, and then it's like, 3 years later, and they come back and they see the same video again and like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to try that again, and they pick it up and then they put it down, and then 3 years later, and they keep trying it, and eventually it clicks, and that's the key, is to keep going after it, keep failing, keep pushing the boundaries.
This is such a hard. This might be too hard of a question, right? But if you kind of had to summarize the light bulb moment or the tip that you would give to people about how to wrap their head around non-metallic metal, what would it be?
Stop blending after your midtone.
Oh, okay. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, because what gets you to where it doesn't look like metal is that you blend from your darkest color to your brightest color. And remember, that doesn't make it look shiny. That's how you paint clothes. That's how you paint skin. That's how you paint everything else, is you go from dark to light, and you spend all this time, especially as a new painter, trying to figure out, how do I make this work? Well, how do I blend? Because I'm seeing all these cool blended colors. You go from dark to light, light to dark, however you choose to pick your technique, but you're always making gradual increases from hue to blend them together, and you have this steady gradient from dark to light. And the brightest color and the darkest color as far apart as the piece will allow. That's what gives you the smoothest blend, right? Your blends don't look smooth when you put the bright color really close to the dark color, right? Because if you can wet blend two colors, a very dark color and a very bright color, but you wet blend them across this distance that creates three different colors in between them and separates them again. That's how normal things are. My shirt goes from a brighter blue, I can't even get the thing right, a brighter blue on the shoulder to a darker blue in the shadows, but it has a really smooth gradient. It doesn't just jump from bright to dark. To make it look shiny, you have to do like what's happening with the buttons on my shirt. They go from black to white. There's no blend. That's where the shine comes in. The shine is the part that makes you unhappy about 90% of your painting, because you didn't blend it right, and so it looked choppy because it went from dark to bright too quick. You missed the tones in the middle. You covered them up. You didn't blend it right. You didn't pick enough colors, whatever it is. That's the part that frustrates us. So you've trained yourself to do it correctly to get nice blends, and then you want to do non-metallic metal, and it's telling you to forget everything you do and start doing it wrong. Start blending from your dark color through to your midtone, and then when you're done with your midtone, slap white on it. And you're like, what? And that's where every single person breaks down. They don't jump in a shockingly enough manner from their darker colors to the brighter colors. That's what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. If I were to show you bright neutral gray and what is essentially sky blue on the model, look at that. You wouldn't paint those right next to each other unless you were painting stripes on a pair of pants or something. They're just not colors that you would use right next to one another very often. Even if you were edge highlighting the blue, you would mix these together first to get your edge highlight and then do the gray, because they're just too different in value. The blue is much darker than the gray in its readability. And so you wouldn't put those next to each other. But that's exactly what we're doing right here. Mm-hmm. Because that's how shine and reflected light works. The reflected light starts to desaturate all that color and blow it out. It's like we talk about a black car. If it's out in the sun, you see more of the color of the light than you do of the black.
Yeah. Huh.
Right?
It
doesn't blend to the light color, to the black, unless it's a matte black wrap.
Right.
Right? Because it's not reflective.
Right.
That's why matte colors and cloth and things like that don't reflect as much light and intensity, and then you blend your bright to your dark.
And when you have a very matte paint like ours, that'll let you control everything at maximum.
100%. That's why I don't like satin paints for doing my base blending, because it puts false reflection into your model, because the light in the room gives you shine on colors that don't shine.
Yeah.
And then you have a hard time finding where your blend spots need to be. Now, it makes it easier when you're painting quick, because the paint itself gives a reflection that makes it to where you don't have to blend as well.
Yeah.
Right? So.
No, yeah, absolutely.
He said, no, yeah. No, yeah. Of course not.
I'm hearing it, right?
Right. It's all about practice. But that's the biggest thing when you ask me about the light bulb moment, is the day that you learn that you can put a bright color over a not bright color, and that's when it looks shiny. If you've done the rest of it right, then you're like, oh, so I'm supposed to unlearn all the best practices that I've learned to make smooth blends. And you're like, yes. And then you also have to smooth blend it.
Yeah. I'm going to have to rewind this one back. There's a lot of good info right there, chat. Made my brain hurt. But that's a good thing. Things are clicking, right? Hopefully they're clicking for you. Brown Town, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Hey, take it easy, man.
Yeah. T. Smith says applying non-metallic techniques to true metallic paints is another one that is a game changer.
Yep.
Yeah.
It throws a lot of people off because you have to almost overcome the shine of the paint more so because the metallic paint is obviously going to be shiny.
Yeah.
And now you're adding non-shiny paint to it. So satin paints work really great for that.
Yep.
Right. And you just got to kind of watch out on how that all interacts.
Vector says, look at comic book reflections.
Yep. Comics are one of the best ways to learn to paint non-metallic metal. Because that's what they have to do. Especially now in the age where a lot of comics, well, most comics are digitally colored, right?
Crucial Blue says, I used to preach flesh wash on top of gold metallics, but now I build up from dark bronze into gold into silver reflections. Much happier with the results.
You got it. And you can still use the wash on top of that. There's no reason why not to. It can still add a layer of, but then you start finding yourself doing that filter as a way to weather it, to get it to feel a little more grimy, and you have your base color built up really nicely. It also opens up the world of using a lot of different colors as washes at that point, which can be lots of fun. Yeah, so
the one thing my mind is tackling right now is the filtering and how to use a wash rather than just getting it in the recesses, but use it as a filter. That's what I've been working on. Non-metallic metal for me is like that next hurdle.
Yeah. It's and you know, it's something you don't have to do.
Yeah.
It is an addiction.
Well, once you get it right, once you have success with it, though. Yeah,
once you get it right, it's an addiction because you no, I don't use metallics anymore.
Yeah. Panic Bomb says, a big light bulb moment was realizing that it's just as much about the material as shape.
Yep.
Well, because then you got to think about like what Jason was saying, like, hey, this is a sphere. How is this sphere going to be reflecting this light?
Yeah.
Right? Even like on these little tiny skulls you're doing right now. They're technically little rounded spheres, right?
Yep.
Up at the top. So that's why the direction of light is so important. Like establishing where the light's coming from is, I would say, would you say that's like one of the number one things?
It is the number one thing on
number
your model.
One.
Remember that what you're doing as a painter, of anything, whether you're painting canvas or whether you're doing, miniatures or whatever, your number one job as a painter is to recreate light.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Recreate the illusion of light.
Mm.
Because light's what allows us to see. So when you break it down to its fundamental part, you're trying to show an image of something. And in order to do that, you have to have light in the world of that image. Right? So if I paint a cowboy, I got to think about what the light in the area of the cowboy is supposed to be like. Is he out in the sun? Is he in a bar? Candlelight? Whatever. I can't just paint my cowboy like I would Superman necessarily.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
The modern world light versus the cowboy light. Is he out in a dusty environment? So there's a lot of things to take into account. Now, we as miniature painters, we have that what I call collaborative feature that a lot of the environment may be dictated by the look of the model. We might have a model that is meant to look like it's in snow.
Yeah.
And so you already know. But you still got it. Your goal is to place a light in that environment. You can't just highlight everything from 12 noon.
Right.
As a new painter, you definitely can. I teach new painters all the time that what you need to do is highlight to the top of every object or piece of the model and shadow at the bottom. That's a great way to learn. But you need to be able to let go of that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because not everything, like metal doesn't just shadow at the bottom. Metal has darkness up on the top where the light source is because it's reflection, not shadow.
Yeah.
Right? It's something in the vicinity that is, like here, because we have this greenery, this could be a forest. that she's coming out of, right? I'm not going to paint it to make it look like trees. I think that looks dumb when people do it, but
like I see. But that's more of like a characteristic.
Yeah, I don't care how much
thing.
you polish a piece of plate mail. It's never going to show you a mirror-like finish of a tree. It's just not.
Yeah.
Right? It just isn't. But you can still utilize those dark spots. And, like I want dark spots at the top of the breastplate because that is the shadow of her arm, the shadow of her head.
Right.
Those are the reflected, not shadow, it's the reflection of the other pieces of the model and things in the vicinity. And even if you don't have anything on the model that makes sense for casting that reflection, putting it there makes it feel more realistic because it could be the ceiling in the room. It could be a branch of a tree overhead. You can create a lot of things that are out of sight, but not out of mind, right? When you paint this way, that don't have to be 100% realistic. I don't have to describe to you what is reflecting on her armor. You can make that story yourself, and that's part of what makes you get involved in the story, right? As we look at it now, I literally think it's a forest because it's green and blue. So you got to have that kind of sky earth non-metallic metal work in here. If we just left it like this, that's kind of what we've created, right? We've kind of created a world in which we have the environment around her reflecting in her shiny armor. I didn't start this model with the expectation to make the armor this shiny, but I'm really liking it.
Yeah. And well, you're saying the environment she's in kind of feels like a greener environment. Right.
Yes. Right now it does. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Working brush control and blending, and then you'll consider light source. Yeah, exactly. And when you're at that stage, Sulfurish, you're just worried about highlights at the top of things, shadows at the bottom of things, because you want to keep consistency at least. Forget about the storytelling of light. You're already doing it to some extent, and you're gaining your comfort and your confidence 100%. Keep painting like that. Some people paint like that forever and they're fine. It's great. Your armies are going to look spectacular. Your minis are going to look really good the better you get at blending and brush control and all that. And then you can step out and say, hey, what if I did the light coming at them from, I always say 10 and 2. Those are the golden kind of hours for painting, is 10 o'clock. So off the left shoulder of the model as you're looking at it, 2 o'clock off the right shoulder, that's off the left shoulder. 2 o'clock's off the left, and 10 o'clock's off the right. Yes.
Nice. A lot of good tips on non-metallic metal. That's great.
Different materials blur the environment reflections more or less. Well, you know as well as I do, you can't polish metal to be, closest you can get is mirror-like. It will never show you the reflection true to form of the objects in it. That's why mirrors are so hard to make, right?
Yeah.
You can't just do it out of they used to make, your version of a mirror would be like a polished metal plate on the wall.
Yeah.
And it would distort the crap out of your image, right?
Yeah.
It just can't. No matter how much light is around it, it just won't, because metal itself never polishes to a singular smooth surface like glass.
Yep.
It still has a grain to it. It still has a distortion effect to it. So yeah. To be honest, it looks like reflected trees. Yeah, I mean, right now it does, which was not the intent, right? If you pop in real close on that.
Yeah.
Right, you can see my brush strokes
Yep.
have created a situation where it makes it look like trees.
Yeah.
Because all my brush strokes run vertical in the way we're looking at it now, right? Look at the highlight colors. You can see the vertical brush strokes. But what it does is it makes it look like the tops of trees. It gives it like a dimension to it, which was not my goal at all. But that's what it winds up looking like, right? Now it won't look exactly as well. It kind of does. I guess all these surfaces, right, where the brush strokes kind of go vertical on the grain of the metal, and so it makes it look like grass or weeds,
or a green environment.
Yeah. And my intention was not to have that be the case. Does it mean we'll change it? I don't know. I like where it's going right now. My plan is to put more yellow on this, believe it or not. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but my plan is for this to be a dingier, mossier metal, not quite as shiny. So setting up the highlight and the reflections right now, and then going back over it with yellows and a little bit of magenta purpley colors in it too, is really what my goal was. Yeah. To make it look like older, tarnished, mossy armor. But, the steps in between could lead you to something where you're like, ooh, crap, this really looks good. We'll leave it like this. The shinier armor like this is a really good juxtaposition story-wise to this person wearing it.
Yeah.
Because she does not look like the kind of person that takes care of her armor necessarily. I mean, I guess there could be some vanity here, but it really feels like if she's the Wraith Queen with skulls and finger bones all over her, yeah. I put that more in the category of armor is effective. It's not jewelry.
Yeah.
She's not royalty.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact, she's cut the head off the king. So, But anyway, that's your story to tell. That's where your brain goes.
Right.
You can look at your model and determine to paint it however you want. That's the beauty of all of this, right? Is that if you're painting Spider-Man, maybe 99.9% of the people paint Spider-Man the same, but you can still paint him pink. Do whatever you want. But awesome. Tried to dry brush a Marines Power Pack with a DD2. Maybe I need more practice, but I wasn't catching the edges. Dry brush with the DD2. Maybe I need more practice, but I wasn't catching the edges and I was leaving streaks across the flat parts. Do you need to go slow? So the DD, the dome dry brushes, right, are going to put more paint on all the stuff, and the DAs will do more edges. So when we talked about that a lot when we were doing the initial painting of the tank.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about where the DD and the DA brushes. There's a reason why we make flat dry brushes, because flat dry brushes will catch areas that have open surfaces next to them, edges on areas that have open surfaces that are broad like Space Marine shoulders and stuff. It will do that a lot better because it doesn't put as many bristles touching the model at one point in time, and it's easier to angle just at the edge. Whereas a dome dry brush, most of the paint is delivered in the middle of the dome, and in order to get to the middle of the dome, you got to go through all the bristles that lead you there.
Yeah.
Because it's a bigger thing, right? I mean, you just look at them. The cross section on them is totally different. I'll grab a BAB and a DD3, right? Or a DD2. DD2? Yeah, DD2. Right? And the old BAB, this is the old BAB.
Right. That's the OG one.
Right. And you can see that they have the same amount of hit width-wise on the model, but because of the shape, in order to get to that width, you have to touch it a lot harder with this one, right? Because you have to get through all these bristles to get to the same width, right? And then you look at it like this, and now you start to understand that the flat surface brush will be more exact on where it puts its paint, so you can catch that edge without leaving streaks, whereas the dome dry brush is going to hit the model with a lot more bristles and run the risk of putting more material on it. I would not dry brush this tank with a dome dry brush unless I wanted to also put paint on the flat surfaces, which you do, like more of a smudge brush type thing, right? So I could dry brush this to actually apply the green color on the tank.
Yeah.
And it would work really well. But I would still finish the edges with this, because as I hit the edges here, the bristles don't hit the front surface of that panel. They only hit the edge. This one, in order to hit that edge, it's hard to show, right? But in order to hit that edge, you've got to now go through it and look at how many bristles are hitting the side.
Well, I punched way in. Is that too much?
Right. So as I come, I either have to do some weird pendulum hit, but look at that. Just to get paint there, immediately the bristles flap onto the side of the tank. Whereas here, when you do it, right, the bristles hit the edge and then they don't go any further. You can just literally tap it on the edge, where you can't do that with the dome dry brush and get just the edge as well.
Yeah.
Make sense?
I think so.
So for hard edges where you don't want paint on the surface, flat dry brushes or angled dry brushes are the best solution. When you're trying to smudge brush and put more paint on the surface, like if you wanted to paint the Space Marine with a dry brush, then you can use the dome dry brushes, and they work tremendously for that. But I typically do not use dome dry brushes to just do edge highlights. That's the flat. That's why we make the DA1, DA2, and the BAB. There's lots of information. My brain is full.
It's a lot of we had a lot of good info today, Jason.
I have a lot of great questions.
I mean, we have great info every day, but like
a lot of great questions. A lot of great beginner questions, a lot of great advanced questions. That's why I love our community so much, is that I think that you guys get more help from listening to each other's questions than me just sitting here spewing stuff sometimes, which I think is great.
Yeah,
she is a Wraith Queen. She does have servants, but the word Wraith makes me think they're not real clean people.
I don't think so. I would assume
maybe that's not giving it a fair shake.
Yeah, they could be royalty wraiths.
I have a fantasy book I'm about to start reading called Devils, where the elves are flesh eaters.
Flesh eaters?
Yeah, the elves in this world want to devour the humans.
Wow,
like they're not your nice highbrow elves. She polishes the armor with the hair of her human victims.
Hello?
Who's this?
Hello? I heard my little boy say how I haven't been on stream in a while. I wanted to come over and see my boy, and
Is this Jason's mom?
I just wanted to see how my little boy's doing.
Jason's mom, everybody.
Hello, Jason. Have you been eating? I brought you some meatloaf. I know how much you love my meatloaf. Oh. This boy would never shut up about my meatloaf. All the time, this one.
Mom.
Yes.
The problem was not that I didn't like the meatloaf, is that you tried to raise me saying that you made this.
Well, okay. We all have our secrets, right, ladies? We all have our secrets.
You didn't make this, Mom.
Wow.
But it's still the thought that counts.
So you should have told me that as a child. I wouldn't have had all the trauma for meatloaf.
Oh my, this boy.
This
Always...
is a striking resemblance here.
Right? He gets it all from me.
You'll never believe it, but my mother is not blonde.
I went to the salon before I came on stream. I wanted to look good for you. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to your stream.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Jason's
mom.
Wow.
Love you, Mom. Do you want to take your meatloaf back? That'd be great, Mom. Yeah, thanks. I'll have that later. Thanks.
What a beautiful surprise. Thank you, Jason's mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Wow. Wow. Let's give it up for Jason's mom.
Welcome to Monument Hobbies, folks. If you ever wanted the perfect career, quit what you're doing and move to Phoenix, Arizona, and join us in the calamity that is a normal day around Monument Hobbies HQ.
What a beautiful...
Jason just took 20 sanity damage, yes.
20 sanity damage.
Yes, that was William.
That was William. Wow.
That was William.
Okra, that's...
We have an amazing team. I can't believe that they're sitting back there.
They did a great job.
They're sitting back there listening to this nonsense and coming up with this.
What should we do? Hey, speaking of what should we do, Jason, it's
time to take us out of here, Chris.
Wow.
It is time to take us out.
What a beautiful way to...
What a great segue.
Yes.
Sanity is for the weak. And on that note...
That's right.
On that note...
Great. Wonderful.
Derpstick says, Jesus, I leave for a minute and I come back to that bit. You never know what you're going to get around here.
That's what we're all about,
like a box
baby.
of chocolates, folks.
Wow.
That's how you know your team. I know the team loves working here. I don't know how much they like me, but that's great. That's great. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. If you're new around here, please hit that sub button over on YouTube or the follow button on the Twitch or Reno. We stream on both platforms Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you showed up here over for Raid, thank you so much for sticking around with us. We love having you. Check the links that Chris put in chat. You can check out the monumenthobbies.com link where you can buy all of our Pro Acryl paints and Pro Series brushes. Our new Dauntless brushes are up there. The heavy-bodied acrylics you've seen us working with will be up there next week. Yep. Lots and lots of fun and lots of love back to you guys for supporting us over the years. We love doing what we do, and it's all because of you that we can do it. Support your local gaming store. We also have in the links the store locator. You can find a store hopefully closer to you where you can go visit and browse all of our wonderful products in a store. That's awesome. As well as the YouTube link where you can go catch up with all the live streams from the past and our tutorials, and our Discord channel where we have
5,665 amazing artists in the Discord.
Doing what?
Trying to be more regular when I get my schedule back to work.
Oh, well, okay.
Says Ghost Hunter.
There you go. That's Ghost Hunter. So
thank you, Ghost Hunter.
We'd love to see you join us over on our Discord community. It really is a great place for inspiration and really bad jokes. So join us over there anytime you have some free chances, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here for, is it Thursday tomorrow? Holy moly. Come back for Therapy Thursday tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Stick around. Chris is going to find us somebody else to raid. Have some fun hobbying through your evening. Leave some love in the chat where we wind up, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Adios, gang.